So we're going to review some more user questions, and in this segment we're going to answer some backtesting questions. So this is a band test report, and in the top of it you can see what date you ran the test, what time of day you ran the test, as well as the symbol that you ran the test on. And for the chart type, it says here 2584 tick interval. One thing you need to understand is if you do a share bar chart, TradeStation does not distinguish that as a different chart type, so it will also show that as tick intervals. So you'll have to either make a change in the title or something so that you know that that's a share bar. And then under the point values, I will explain how they do this so you'll understand that data. And then it tells us our test period that we actually ran the band test for, as well as all the settings that were used in the chart tool. And so you have a complete record of that so that you have the ability to reproduce it. And then we have this summary information down here. And I'm going to go over that in a little more detail to explain to you the different elements. But before I go over those elements, I want to explain how the point and tick information is communicated from TradeStation. So here's an example of CL. It's $1,000 in value for 1 point. The minimum move for a tick is 1. And the price scale is 100. So there is 100 ticks per point, or 0.01 would be the scale. And then you can take that information and you take your $1,000, you divide it by 100, and then you find out that your value is it's $10 a tick. So when we look at something that's a little more complex, like the currencies, this is BP, and you can see that it's 62,500 pounds per point. The minimum tick size is 1. There's 10,000 ticks, so that means each tick is 0.0001, and then you can do the math on that, and it comes out to be $6.25 a tick. So that's how TradeStation handles that information if that looks a little different than you expected. And then let's talk about the summary information. So when you look at the summary, it shows you the number of candles found on the chart, and that can be beneficial if something happens and you've loaded some data and maybe you had some pending data and the test ran before that information was finished loading. You might see a number of candles that is much lower than you anticipated, so that can help you see that. It tells you the number of bands that have been found, hit, and also it tells you the number of bands that have been broken. So that is a band which price came back to and is now no longer active because price has violated it, and then how many bands were deleted. And then this also shows you the bands that are still active. Price returned to them, moved away, and has not come back yet. And in this example, we did 100. It's 136 days in the band test, and so you can see here. If you look at our broken bands and our bands hit, we're averaging less than 1 trade a day, 1 band or potential trade a day. And then we have our raw band success rate, and that's how many trades hit 1-to-1. So price came back to the band, and it achieved 1-to-1 or greater before coming back and totally violating through the band. So that was 49.41% in this example. When we start looking at the summary of the broken bands, there's a lot of valuable information here. One, it tells you how many bands never made it to 1-to-1, and it gives you the average band width. So you can use that information as you think about, for this asset and this interval and interval type, is that an amount of money that I'm willing to risk on a trade. Does that fit my trade plan? In this scenario here, it was be 25 ticks times the 625, which would give you $156.25 of risk per trade on these stop outs. The other thing you can understand is because we have the different patterns broken out, the drop base rally, rally base rally, rally base drop, drop base drop, you can understand and see how, if trend is important to your asset. And that can give you some indicators there on what kind of odds enhancers you might want to use. In this scenario here, you can see that the rally base rally and the rally base drop did not perform quite as well as the drop base drop and drop base rally. So that can give you some indication there that may help you enhance your trade plan for this asset. The other thing is we also have the summary of the open bands, and you may see that you will have zero risk to reward, and you may see some bands listed here, and that's because they have not made one-to-one yet. And the other thing that you get good information is it tells you how many possible points. So during this time frame, this is the number of points if you took every trade and captured it at the max move away. This would have been the number of points you could have collected. And for the number of days we have in this test, that would be an average of $65 a day. So again, you can use this information to look at an asset and how it performs to see, is it going to make you enough money if you have a target of X dollars a day. This can help you determine what assets may meet your trading goals better. So that's a little overview of the band test and some of the information you can glean from it, and just answering a few user questions.